Hi, my name is Curtis, and thanks for renting our RV. I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough video. Again, thanks for renting with us. The quick thing I'm going to do is just kind of go around, talk about the ins and outs of the RV, how to operate certain things, and that way you guys have peace of mind that you can go on your trip and be safe. First things first, this is a 2019 Thor 4 Winds. It's a 24-foot RV. It's a Class C type model, and it's a gas, so you don't need to put any diesel in it. There's no slide outs, and there's no automatic levelers, so it's pretty much you just get in and go. As we walk around this side, I'll kind of just show you the ins and outs. The first things first, when you notice on your passenger side, is these mirrors are not automatic. So before you get in, just make sure that you have someone there to help you to kind of adjust your mirrors. Each side of the cab has its own entry door. It's on a Ford chassis, so it's really convenient. You'll notice on the side here, you do have your propane intake. This is where your propane tank is. Before any trip or after when you're done, just go ahead to a local gas station and just go ahead and fill it up. Here's your gauge. There's also a gauge inside the RV that will tell you right now we're sitting about 3/4 of the way full here. As we walk around, we do have an awning. Later in the video, you'll see how to operate this. This is an automatic awning only. It does not do manual. So there's a button inside in which you can operate it to go in and out. I do ask before you take off anywhere, just make sure that this awning is fully shut, because there has been incidents, not me personally, but that I've known of, that someone had the awning out and they've ended up hitting the pole or something. Outside you have some rear plugs. And inside this cabinet is your biggest underbelly storage here. So as we go through this, just keep in mind that anything I give you, just go ahead and return. Inside here are just some camping mats, and for the sake of time, I'm not gonna undo all of them. But inside here, when you get to your spot wherever you want to camp, just go ahead and flake those out, and it'll keep dirt and everything out of your campground. In this cabinet here, you just have some extra tools and fluids that you may need. Some Onan generator fluid, some transmission fluid, some duct tape, etc. Like I stated before, this RV does not have any automatic levelers. So in the event that you do park at an unlevel spot and you need to come up, these tri-levelers are what you're going to use. So whatever side that you're unlevel on, or you're at the lowest, you're going to put these at that said tire. So for example, if you're low on this passenger side, you can go ahead and put these levelers under here and under the front, and you drive up to whatever level that you think is the best. Now, you'll notice there's a lot of boxes. You don't need this one. I've included a table for your camping pleasure. So this will just slide up once you get everything out of here. This is a folding table. It's actually built for this exact spot. These are your hoses and your septic support, as well as another septic hose on the other side, and I'll show you how to set everything up. And just for the record, anytime you shut a cabinet, just make sure that you latch both sides and making sure it's completely shut. These cabinets have been known to open during the ride. And back here, you'll see you have another access point. And I'll go over how to set up everything. Now on this side, like I said, there's no slide out, so this is just a one chassis, one-sided van. Here's your gas tank fill, unleaded, regular 87 only, please. And here's where you're going to dump your tank. So this is just an extra piece. You don't really need it. We'll just use the one that's inside here. But I'll go ahead and I'll set this up at a later time. Here you're going to have your water filter exhaust, hot water filter. You get about 6 gallons of hot water. Here's your vents for the fridge, and here's your actual hot water furnace. It's kind of hard to get out sometimes. You don't need to worry about that. Just know when it's running that this is going to be very hot. Now, the most important part is your power, right? So you also have this cabinet will open with a key, but I always just try to keep the plug right here. This is a 30 amp plug. You have about 30 feet of cord here. I will throw in a reducer where you can reduce it from a 30 amp to a 15 amp, which is like your normal house plug. Here's a slot for your generator. And if you needed fresh water fill up, this is where you're going to fill up your tank with fresh water. Now the difference between this and your city water connection is that this, when you're connected into a campground and you connect from the hose bib into here, this does not fill your tank. So any water that you use is coming directly from the source in the campground into here. However, if you do have your tank filled and you want to use your water, you can use that with the water pump and you don't have to be connected to here. So there's two different ways to have water. This is coming directly from a hose bib, does not go into your tank. It goes from the hose all the way into your sinks, your showers, etc. This is your water fill. You have a holding tank, I believe, of about 50 gallons, and that will give you fresh water. So majority of the time you're not going to be connected to power and you still want to use all your accessories, your lights, your water pump, your stereo, etc. So the main thing you want to do, come on in, is down here you have your main power switch. Right now it's off. You'll notice that the light is not on. The thing you have to do is go ahead and hit it on. That'll give you power to the fridge, the lights, the generator switch, everything. The most important part of this is make sure when you're leaving and you don't want to use any more power, make sure you go ahead and turn it off. When it's on, you'll be able to operate your awning, which you'll see in a later video. When you hold this down, the awning will come out. I also want to keep in mind that anytime you're plugged in, that will override anything. You cannot shut off the power if you're plugged into power. Now this is your step light, which is the little light down here. And then out these two bottom switches down here, the left side is going to be the outside LED lights, and then these will be your interior lights.
And then this side.
So as you come up, because you have power, you'll now be able to start your generator. So go ahead and hold down this button for about 3 seconds. The light will blink, and sometimes it'll fire up right away, and sometimes it may take a few seconds. You'll notice you'll have full power when this microwave turns on. Once you hear a beep, you'll be able to operate pretty much anything in this rig, including the AC, which is the most important part. So now that you hear the beep, you'll be able to come over here and turn on your AC. You cannot operate the AC if the generator is not on or you're not plugged into power. So for the sake of this, I'm gonna just go ahead and turn it off. To operate your water, you can hit the water pump. And if you want liquid propane water heater, hit that switch. Up here, you'll see all your levels. Liquid propane, your battery level. If you are plugged in, this will read full, but since we're not plugged in at the moment, we're not gonna have a full battery charge unless I had just replaced the batteries. Freshwater tank is full and you're black and gray. I do ask if you are gonna leave the rig unplugged from any type of power, please unplug it if you're not planning on using it because it will drain the batteries. All right, you've arrived at your campground. You want to set up shop and make sure you have all your utilities plugged in and ready to go. So what you had inside of this cabinet, you'll have your septic hose, your water tank, and your septic hose support. This is not a necessity, it just makes it pretty convenient, but I'll show you how to run through all of that. Just for video purposes, we actually don't have a hose put around myself, but I assume anybody that knows how to connect to a hose. But this is where you're gonna connect to the house or your RV tank. Just make sure that you don't have any debris in here before you fill it in. This will screw in counterclockwise. And then you're gonna go ahead and connect this end into whatever campground hose bit that they have. It should be just a normal hose thread. As we get to our power, I always recommend you do your power first before you start anything, because that way you can keep your food cold, you can keep the AC running, etc. And also you're not going to drain your batteries. So hypothetically, we'll go ahead and plug this into your 30 amp and or 15, but preferably a 30 amp. And as we connect to our septic, the first thing I like to do is lay this all out first. It just makes everything a lot easier. And I'll start right at the source, and I'll go to wherever the septic plug-in is. Now I've included some gloves. Sometimes these are a messy job and just more sanitary. And also what I like to do is I'll start at the source going backwards, okay? So the hose is gonna have some caps on them just to sake for leakage. Now the tricky part is figuring out which side is what. Okay, so you'll notice that on this side you'll have some pins, right? Go ahead and slide these off. And this part that goes in right here, you'll notice it's a quarter turn. This little elbow is gonna go directly into the septic dump. So hypothetically, if we had a hole right here to dump, it's gonna look like that. And then I'm gonna drag all this out. I'm gonna open up the cabinet. And you'll notice underneath here is the same type of lever. Before I open this, I always make sure that this lever's shut. And this one as well. You may get a little drippage. And this one also will have a cap. This is a very important part. Make sure that, make sure when you lock it, make sure it's seated on every side. Make sure you capture those little pins, because I made the mistake personally where I didn't make sure that the bottom was locked, and when I dumped, I had a leak. So you notice there's two levers. There's a gray and a black. Gray is your gray water. That's any drainage from the showers and the sinks, and that tends to fill up pretty quick. Typically, it's just dirty water and soap. This is your black. This is strictly from your toilet. That's going to be your feces, your urine, and toilet paper. I only ask that you put RV safe toilet paper down in the septic. And I'm not going to actually dump it because I don't have anything to dump it into. But when you do dump, I recommend you doing the black first. Make sure that drains all the way out. Close it, and then open up the gray. The gray will kind of wash everything out. And then you'll have your buttons inside that'll tell you the levels of all that. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. If you have any questions, feel free to call me and I'll walk you through the whole thing. And then as you disconnect it, you're just gonna reverse the process. Make sure all your valves are shut. I disconnect it here like this. That way I can walk down whatever is left in the hose to the drain.
Yeah.